So this was the first game I ever got to choose. When I was a kid, I was really into Power Rangers, and I got my first Game Boy Advance for Christmas, and it only came with Super Mario World. But then we went to the store. My parents said, okay, you could choose that one game, and being the fan I was at the time, I grabbed this. Let me tell you, this game is something else. So as a kid, when it came to Power Rangers, did you guys ever have the Star of the Week when you're in kindergarten or first grade where you just like put a whole bunch of facts down about yourself, which kind of sounds weird nowadays, and we put it all together, and that was the thing I wanted to be when I grew up. Needless to say, I failed that miserably. But this game had it all for me. There was colors, there was punching, there was kicking. What else could a kid want? And now I'm gonna walk you through just how weird and silly this game is. Also about this game, it was the first game I ever beat. On top of that, I actually held the world record in speedrunning it for a period of time. And you might think, whoa, where's the proof of that? Well, there was nothing up on the leaderboard, and it didn't exist. And yes, I have not submitted anything, but I had the fastest time, and no one had anything to say I didn't. But during this run that I had the record in, you know something I realized that's really funny? I had no idea through all of my years playing this game that there was a dash button. I had no idea you could dash. And you can imagine how much faster the current world record is, given that I didn't know that. The story of this game starts out in the year 3000, where we're playing as the Red Ranger chasing Rancic, then we die. So the remaining 4 Rangers go back to the year 2000 to chase him. The first thing we do in 2000 is grab a little circle face, and then BAM! A Red Ranger exists once again. So canonically, anytime a Ranger dies, they're just getting replaced by someone else. And we're gonna stick with that because I think it's funny. Well, in the overworld, we get alerted that there's a bad guy on the loose who will lead us to Rancic. And once we find him at the bank, he takes us back in time to the old west. And that should tell you how this game works. So let me explain how the Rangers work. You can change them at any time by pressing select, and each of the 5 Rangers has different traits. Red's pretty average, pink can jump is super high, yellow's really strong, green can jump a little higher than most and decent strength, and blue can jump a little length with average and decent strength. But to inform you how to play this game, we pretty much only play as pink. Well, I guess now we'll play as blue. The reason we play characters that can jump high, though, is purely for the reason that we can just, like, skip and ignore platforming, which, at this point in time, I have, like, a speedrunner brain, so I just want to, like, go skip shit. Yeah. Each stage has 2 different parts to it. The second part is in an old western town, and we can jump on all the buildings and on top of all the enemies to reach the end of the area. At the end of the area, we get this item that transforms us into the Quantum Ranger. We talked about the other Rangers before, so how does this one compare? It's just better than all of them in every single way, and that's, yeah. You don't get to keep them permanently. It's only every time you get one of those in each stage, but they're not that hard to find. Then we get to fight our first boss, and I think it's time I was honest with you. This game is in fact for children, because all you have to do to win a fight in this game is mash the B button. For the most part, you can stun lock any boss in the game by just mashing B. So yeah, that's all we're gonna do for boss fights. And then after we do that, we get to fight in the Megazord, and imagine the exact same thing happening. Well, you can stop imagining, it's just what happens. After that, we end up in the overworld again, and this is the last time I'm really going to mention the overworld because it's not really interesting and it's just going left or right. So then we get sent back to the 1700s Spanish fort, where there are Spanish pirates taking over. Out of all the standard enemies, they're the only ones that'll throw projectiles at you over pits though. So if you get hit with a projectile, you completely lose all of your momentum, and if you don't have your double jump, you're screwed. You're going to fall right in that pit and have to switch rangers. The second part of the stage features broken pirate ships that we basically just jump over because we can. You jump off all the masts, and then you get to the boss, and we win by mashing. We then sent to ancient Rome, where we have the biggest show of why we use the Pink Ranger. We get to climb to the top and ignore entire parts of the stage. It's also really sad that I do this now that I think about it, because it's the stage that has the most attention to detail with the backgrounds. But that's not gonna stop me. And this part of the stage is probably the most difficult, but not because it's hard, it's because you don't know where to go. A lot of the columns look like they'll be walls or things you jump on, but they end up just being in the foreground, meaning you can just bypass them, but it's kind of hard to tell. And then, whoa, we run into another boss. I wonder how this one does. We suddenly find ourselves in a city in ancient Egypt where there are 3 million guards and they can all make fire Hadokens. If you really want to get this level done fast though, it's pretty easy. You just switch to pink, jump on a little ledge, and then go to the left, and you're at the end of that part of the stage. It's pretty easy to just break this game in half, and I think that's what makes it so fun for me, especially when I was a kid. But the second part of the stage is leading to the Grand Pyramid. So there are 2 routes to take. There's the top, and then there's the one underneath. I legitimately have no no idea what the top part of the stage looks like, I've only ever gone in the bottom one because you can get an invincibility pickup and you can just run through it all. Oh, I didn't mention the invincibility, did I? Well, if you think about it, they're the little triangles that you pick up and then you're invincible for about 15 seconds and you can run through literally everything, including spikes. So remember when I said you could just mash B through every boss? I have a confession. You also have to move left and right for this one when they jump around. I apologize for lying to you. Then we go to the time of dinosaurs. This is set up so you're jumping around trees and there are velociraptors below. These enemies have the most health in the game, so it's a lot easier to completely avoid them by jumping on the tree branches, but you have to be careful. There are a couple bottomless pits below, so if you make the wrong jump assuming there's going to be something there, you might just fall right down. At the end of this sea of trees, we suddenly are in the Ice Age. Whoops! And in this Ice Age, there are a whole bunch of ice traps that aren't like walls, so you can just get an invincibility or damage boost through them to just skip entire parts of the stage. And then we encounter the elephant with the big hammer. He has an insane health bar. It'd be a real shame if we just stun lock him. And then we come face to face with Rancic, the person we've been chasing through time and killed our very first ranger. He doesn't even waste time fighting us on foot. He knows what we'll do, and we also gonna do the same thing to him when we're in the Megazord. But I thought there'd be one thing I show you that you could do in the Megazord that I never really touched on. You have a block button. With Rancic biting the dust, we send our 4 rangers back to the future and the credits roll. So this game is really simple and there's really not too much to it, but it's one that like touched my heart as a kid and I know I can go back and play it whenever I want. It's not a great game by any means, but to like a 5-year-old kid, that's all you really need. You need colors, punching, and kicking. I figured I'd share this with all you just because it's really silly. It's a silly little game and yet so dear to me.